Hello folks, today we're here on Lake of the Ozarks and it's late October, a little bit early to try to throw buzzbait and catch fish shallow, but we just came from fishing the Anglers in Action Championship last weekend, and one of our key fish, in fact the big fish of the tournament, came on a new buzzbait. It's Omega's Alpha Shad. It was this exact bait. In fact, it's black, has red eyes. The unique thing about this bait is it's got dual blades on it that are on the same arm, but they basically are independent of each other. They don't turn at the same time. They kind of click against each other. And the owner of Omega designed this bait to where when it does that, it kind of simulates the sound of shad clicking on top whenever it's coming through the water. And so far it's made a believer out of me. One of the main things that I like about it best is how slow you can crank the bait and keep it on top. As soon as that bait hits the water, those blades start working just immediately, and you can barely crawl this bait and keep it in the strike zone longer. That big fish that we caught was very shallow, 2 foot deep probably. Really wasn't on a piece of cover other than like some big rocks that were in the water. But there's times whenever these fish do get back in behind a dock on a post or something like that. And the slower you can keep a bait in the strike zone, you know, when you're flipping a jig, you can keep it in there as long as you want. But a spinner bait, buzz bait, something like that, of course you gotta to make the bait work, you gotta reel it in. Well, the unique thing about this is you can keep it in that strike zone a little bit longer. It stays on top, just barely turning the bait. It stays on top good. It also has all these baits come with a hand-tied skirt on them, and it has a little bit longer skirt in the middle on the very back here, similar to what you would use for like a trailer on the end of a spinner bait or on the end of a buzz bait, and it's got great action in the water. So all in all, I'm pretty excited about this bait. When you catch a 7.23, it tends to make you that way, but we did catch some other fish on it as well, and hopefully today, we got some clouds, hopefully today we can get out and catch 1 or 2 of those good ones and show you how it works. Today we're here on Lake of the Ozarks, and I'm throwing an Omega custom tackle buzzbait, a black buzzbait. It's late October, and they're starting to, some really good fish move shallow. So we're just checking to see if we can't get one of them to grab it. The Omega buzzbait, one of the unique features about it is how slow you can crank it and keep it on top. And the most important thing about that is simply that you can keep it in the strike zone longer. Some of these fish are very, very shallow, you know, 2 foot deep. Some of them are behind the docks, and the longer you can keep it in the strike zone, especially back in behind the dock before pulling it over that cable, the better off you are. I mean, as soon as that bait hits the water, it's immediately got an awesome action. Both of those blades start spinning, and you can just keep it in one spot, and there is no doubt in my mind it's going to get you a few more bites than a normal buzz bait, just because you can keep it where they're at a little bit longer. Fishing a spot right here very similar to many of the places we fished in the Anglers in Action Championship. It's a spot that's way off the bank. I'm in 32 feet of water. It's a spot that I found with the Humminbird side imaging, and you know, it's just a big isolated piece of cover it's way out off the bank. When idled across this just right now, we saw lots of fish around it, so it leads me to believe that, you know, it's either crappie or bass or something down there on top of this piece of cover. But this is just textbook stuff. I'm using a 1 ounce Omega jig, and I've got it tipped with a Berkeley Chigger Crawl. The jig color is Ozark Special. It's brown and green, but just one of the places. We did not fish this spot, but it's a place identical to a lot of the places we caught some really key fish in that tournament. A lot of times on some of these places, you can, as deep as they are, you can get right on top of them. I was in 33, and this piece of cover comes up so high that it's showing 27 right here. You can get on top of them without spooking them, and sometimes that's the best way to fish them, is straight up and down. Just drop that hunk of lead of omegas down there and pop it a couple times, and hopefully they'll get on it. Whenever I'm fishing cover like this on these flat points that are way out, probably my favorite bait by far, without a doubt, is a 1 ounce omega jig. I like the brown and green. I think it's called Ozarks Special, but it's my favorite bait. It's big, heavy bait, goes to the bottom fast. If you'll notice, I usually jerk the rod pretty good, and to me, it's just a reaction strike. I usually try to find that cover. I ease up next to it, and if I can feel it, then I'll hop it over it, and a lot of times that's what triggers that strike. You know, a lot of guys will throw a 3/8 half ounce worm jig or whatever it might be in there, and they're going to catch fish, and I've done it too. But there's something about that 1 ounce jig that no doubt on cover or even out on a point on a drop, it's no different than a crankbait, but you can't get a crankbait that deep. It triggers a strike. I mean, Kevin Van Dam is as good as anybody. He's the best there is at throwing a crankbait, but on certain spots you can't get a crankbait this deep, and that 1 ounce jig is very similar to that, especially if you're jerking it off the bottom. It triggers those strikes and fish that are lethargic and really not looking to feed, but when something comes darting by them, a lot of times they'll grab it. Okay folks, what I just did is when I come across that point, I froze my screen right here with this cursor and basically froze it on what I want to fish right there. There's a tree out there, and I've got the line up on the bank right there as to where I want to be throwing it to put my bait where that tree is at. But you can see, if you zoom in on this, you can actually see the fish laying in the top. Now those could be crappie, those could be bass, who knows what, could be bluegill, who knows. But that tree right there has held fish for many years for me, and I think we caught 1 or 2 in the tournament here a week or so ago out of that tree. Plus I got the split screen 2D sonar, and right underneath the boat you can see them. I don't know, you never know what they are exactly. This one's a bass, I'll bet you. That's a nice one. Yeah. Don't do it. Right there folks, Lake of the Ozarks, right in the top jaw. That's good. I don't know, that fish is 4 pounds, a little better than that maybe. Fished a long time today, but we had some nice bites. Beautiful fish there, we're gonna turn him loose. But it's October, late October, and we're in 24 feet of water, and I just saw a little bit of scattered brush there with some, looked like some fish on top. I didn't know what they were, and obviously there might have been some bass in there, but caught that on a 1 ounce omega jig, Texas crawl, and I got that tipped with a Berkeley chigger crawl. Not sure what that color is, green something, but anyways, a lot of these fish have been 20 and over, and that, like right there, it was 24 feet deep on the bottom where I saw those fish, and a very nice result right there. But anyways, give that a try guys. Thank you.